Let's look at now some internal U.S. Politics for a minute. People need to know the Black Agenda Report, one of the best sources for all kinds of commentary. And in the past week, we've got a very interesting article by Bruce A. Dixon, the managing editor of the Black Agenda Report. And he points out the fact that Tavis Smiley, the broadcast commentator on public television, Tavis Smiley has ended his State of Black American Union. The State of the Black Union has been going on for 10 years, run by Tavis Smiley. And Bruce A. Dixon points to the fact, the headline, Tavis Smiley ends State of Black America's Union show, continues media lockdown of Obama's black left critics. Tavis Smiley now says that the idea of this SOBU, State of the Black Union, that this is now obsolete. Things have changed. You have a black president. You have other things that have gone on. And naturally, this, as Bruce Dixon points out, this sounds like a cover story for something else. I would maybe put less of the burden of this on Tavis Smiley and rather more on the foundations, which are undoubtedly the people that he turned to in order to get this financed all along. I would say that this is a reflection of foundation policy. It's quite possible that Tavis Smiley might have been interested in continuing with this, but his foundation funding has been cut, as these reactionary foundations, always on the side of evil, that they pulled the rug out from under him. And so maybe he's trying to cover up the fact that the foundations have, in effect, stabbed him in the back. So let's leave it open as for the role of Tavis Smiley. But the general issue, I think, is absolutely correctly identified here by Bruce Dixon. Let me read a part of this. Now, why is it that these forces, let's say, are so interested in shutting down the State of the Black Union? Well, as Dixon writes, and I quote, even if no panelist referred to more than one point in terms of foreign policy, Palestine, Gaza, education, the union-busting campaign of Obama and Arnie Duncan. In other words, the points where Obama is tending to betray his base. Even if, and I return to the quote now, even if no panelist dropped more than one of these points, the effect on Democrats and on the White House of any two or three of them of black criticism aired on TV in front of millions of African Americans would be catastrophic. The solid black support the Obama administration enjoys depends on excluding, marginalizing, and hiding any viewpoints to the left of corporate mainstream Democrats. As long as the only opponents of the president allowed access to the mic are Republicans, Obama can demand that African Americans continue to circle the wagons around the presidency no matter how much he ignores the actual wishes of what is supposedly his core constituency. Therefore, a 2010 State of the Black Union would be or would have been an uncontrollable source of publicity, highly visible, leftward pressure aligned with long-standing and deeply held public stands in the black American community on the Obama administration, something the corporate media are intent on preventing. And nobody personifies corporate America more than C-SPAN, the public voice of the cable TV industry, whose biggest player, Comcast, is now poised to merge with NBC. And again, that's the end of the quote. I would just add again, don't forget the foundations, who essentially are the people who fund many of these programs. Look at Bill Moyer's list of sponsors, Charlie Rose's list of sponsors, and so forth. So the importance of this, I think, is I find it comforting to see that the people at the Black Agenda Report agree with me that the most effective critique of Obama is from his left. In other words, the real critique of Obama is he's a warmonger. He's a union buster. He betrays the black community. He betrays the gay community. He betrays people who are concerned with health care. His health care plan is a monstrosity. It's a bailout of private insurance companies with dirty deals with big pharma. This is the essence of what Obama does. If you listen to Limbaugh and Hannity are specialized in attacking what Obama says, that is his lying propaganda, his left cover. They don't attack what Obama does. They attack what Obama says. If you want to attack what Obama does, He's a Wall Street puppet, a warmonger. He's a union buster. He betrays the black community, the gay community, the healthcare activists. I suppose even the radical ecologists have a beef, but we cannot embrace that one because this is actually one where there is no underlying global warming problem. But you get the idea. The most effective is coming from the left, and this is why the foundations are concerned to strangle the anti-war movement, to marginalize it, or if that's not possible, to marginalize it through self-marginalization. That is the crackpot policy of saying the essence of everything is civil disobedience, let's get everybody arrested, meaning that the average working person, parent, student, or other people who have commitments in life, they don't have foundation-funded lawyers and foundation-provided bail money. They can't do that. So if you say civil disobedience is the order of the day, then that might get a little bit of publicity in the short run, but eventually it means that there will be no mass-based anti-war movement if that kind of thinking dominates. So do take a look at the Black Agenda report over there. Now, a couple of other items as time permits. LaHood at the Transportation Department has changed some Bush-era regulations on transportation projects. Since we're interested in infrastructure, we have to be interested in that. And this, for example, makes it easier to build projects like the Purple Line, which is a trolley car line, light rail line, around the Circle Line, you might say, around the Washington, D.C. metro. If you look at, for example, the Moscow subway system, they've got a great Circle Line all around the outside of it. Berlin, the same thing. Here in Washington, we don't have it. This would be the first piece of that circle around the outside of the Washington, D.C. subway system. So something is moving there in terms of infrastructure. These are tiny little straws in the wind, but we should be aware of them. Another interesting point, China and Google. I think this is going to become a big story. We're going to get back to this next week, and I'll be commenting on this in the media next week, I believe also. Google is poised to leave China. The Chinese have done a kind of a cyber intervention, a cyber attack on Google, and this has to do with the fact, many articles this past week announcing it, a very bad phase of U.S.-Chinese relations is coming on. The Obama administration is seething because the Chinese were so successful with the help of Sudan and some Africans in blocking this horrendous climate strangulation of the world economy. The carbon regime of the world was blocked successfully by China. There's tremendous resentment by the green fanatics in the Obama regime. The Dalai Lama, that feudal monster, is coming to Washington, D.C. He'll be fawned over by Richard Gere and the various Hollywood degenerates, but this is a guy whose regime was feudalism and cruelty personified as long as it lasted. There is the sale of some missiles to Taiwan, which is another irritant. There are various trade disputes. There's a constant currency war concerning the renminbi, the Chinese currency. So it looks to me like the Chinese got fed up and they decided to retaliate in this way. I would also remind people of the nefarious Rabia Kadir and that Turkmenistan subversive group paid by the U.S. government and operating here from the suburbs of Washington, D.C. Otherwise, we're looking forward to the Massachusetts Senate election next week, next Tuesday, as this program is aired. That's quite possible that will go to a Republican, and maybe that will give us the return to gridlock, which we require. This Martha Coakley obviously feels entitled to a hereditary seat. Deval Patrick, that twin of Obama up there, who spouts the same utopian messianic rhetoric, is widely hated in Massachusetts. Remember, Obama could not win the Democratic primary in Massachusetts. So Massachusetts, to some extent, showing the rest of the country its own future as Obama goes down. So maybe the Democrats lose their veto-proof, their filibuster-proof majority in the Senate. That would be much to be hoped for. Gridlock, the order of the day, and we'll see you next week. Remember, Tarpley.net in the meantime.